right, today we have a very special guest, Laquan from NFL Network at Real Deal Fantasy. Go follow him on Twitter and other socials as well. We're going to talk some ball today for about, 20, 30 minutes and
Yeah.
kind of pick his brain. So, what's up, Laquan?
Hey, thanks for the invite, bro. This is cool, man. Getting this set up and we get to talk some ball. And I'm always down to sit here and just talk fantasy because folks are coming back outside, man, and people want to know what's going on in the fantasy streets.
Yep, for sure. It's that time of year. I got to re up. I'm a commissioner of a league. So, you just reminded me I got to hit up my folks for around end
Get
of
that league
July,
meeting,
August.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
get
man.
get your league meeting, get your money in. Let's get that draft going. So, speaking of that, what brought you to football? You're at NFL Network. You do football full time. So, what was your passion? Like, how did it start?
Well, really, it started probably a couple years ago where, I started taking content creating serious on an aspect. Like, I wasn't just trying to make content for fantasy football. Like, I was trying to do things of just being creative and doing edits of little masha, mixtape, little things that you see on YouTube with players and stuff. And but the sport wasn't football. It was actually the real football. It was soccer. So I was sitting there trying to do edits for Manchester United, and Wayne Rooney was the favorite player ever coming up as a kid. So it's I always had a knack for wanting to create. And then I fell into fantasy football because one of my best friends, he's like, "Hey, I got a league. Somebody dropped out. Do you want to play?" And I'm like, "Dude, you only know I watch Rams games. I don't know who anybody else is, bro. I am a huge Rams fan, but I'll join." So I joined it and won. So I was like, "Oh, this is pretty
Hey,
easy." I remember taking Jeremy Hill off the board. I remember taking freaking Julio Jones as my wide receiver one with AJ Green in the second round. I remember that year winning, and I was just a dominant force. We're like, "Hey, this is easy." And no, after that, the rest is history, man. I just went on YouTube, uploaded some videos because I kept getting questions about, "Hey, what should I do this week in fantasy?" Blah blah blah, and from my coworkers and my friends and stuff. So I'm like, I should just create a platform and just have it in one spot where I could just answer all the questions and do some dope content. So that's kind of how I fell in love with football and the passion and being able to go out there and create and sit in front of the camera and have this mic in front of me and start talking about my thoughts and opinions on the sport.
that's sick. So it started off as the passion soccer, and then it turned into like a sub passion with football. But it was an instant success, which
Yeah,
once you're good at something, you get that dopamine, you don't want to stop. So
it's
I
a
could
good way to put
definitely
it.
feel, yeah, you get that rush, and it's a healthy rush, you know what I mean? So that's awesome. I remember that year. I think it was about 2013, maybe 2014.
You're
Jeremy
in
Hill
ballpark. Yeah.
on the waiver wire. I was in college because I was a like pre internet, pre social media and TikTok. It was a lot easier to win your leagues because a lot less people had information. They didn't have the right sources. So
There you
I was
go.
able to go and pick up Jeremy Hill, Odell Beckham when he was a rookie that year, same year. He was on the same team. CJ
Yeah.
Anderson, boom, 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 boom. You win your championship. Then everyone started getting Twitter, YouTube. Now people join for the first time, and yeah, then they think but you ran with it. I respect that, and
Yeah.
you made a living, and it's awesome.
I think I hit the time of where everybody was just getting on YouTube because even when on my come up, Nick Arcolano, Big Dog's Got to Eat. I watched all his draft videos. I watched all his draft
Mm.
party videos, and that kind of inspired me too, And I hit him up one day and was like, "Hey man, I'm nobody. I'm one of your 3,000 subscribers, man. I'm not even expecting him to shoot me back an email." And 20 minutes later, he shoots me back an email, and we're just chatting, talking "Hey man, I'm trying to do my own thing. What do I need?" And he gives me a Amazon list of lighting, camera, microphone, and that to me just was "Oh wow, man! You really didn't have to do that. I'm really appreciative." So I give him his flowers every chance I get on any platform to kind of show having that open hand and just wanting to help somebody else that you don't know, a stranger on the street, and want to see them create content and see them drive and chase their passion for what they really love and what they want to do.
That's awesome. It's like a mentor, and then you use it as a positive chain, at least you reaching
Yeah.
your arm out to others. And that's what life should be about. You have empathy for people that are in the same shoes as you. So you're like, hey, look, like this guy's trying to grind, he's trying to make it, and
Yeah.
let me help him out. And that's what everyone should do and pass on that knowledge instead of hoarding it. So I respect that. So I watched 2001 Jets Titans. It was the first time I ever watched a football game, and I fell in love. They were hitting each other. They were running super fast. They were like strong. I said, man. whoever wins this game, I want to be a fan. I became a Jets fan, and then I started playing football in middle school, and then the rest was history. It was the first time. It was like the first thing I fell in love with. Literally, it was.
Yeah.
It was like later on, girls came and things like that. You know what I mean? But the first thing was
Yeah.
football, and um, it was definitely something that I just like. I played Madden, I dove into it, and I was always obsessed with it. So, and it taught me more things in life playing the sport than any other lesson I can think of. So,
That's dope, man.
definitely, yeah, yeah, definitely a fan. And I met a mentor at college. His name is Jonathan Megan, but he's Team 3D Alpha on YouTube. He does like sports and lifting, and he's got like 180 subs or whatever. So he kind of told me, he's
Nice.
like, look, monetize what you're passionate about because you're already scrolling. He's like, you know, football, you on Twitter every day, you're
Yeah.
doing all these things. Just start tweeting, start doing it. So I'm here now, and look, I'm on a podcast or on YouTube with Laquan, so this is awesome.
No,
Let me
this is
see.
great.
You said Rams, right? So
Yeah.
I had the little show sheet. So just okay. So your favorite team is the Rams, and then I have a reason why because we talked pre-show about living location, but why the Rams?
So growing up in New Jersey, man, it's one of those things where you're forced to be a Cowboys fan, a Eagles fan, or even a Commanders fan. And I do feel like, the Giants were there right in front of me as a team. Growing up, I had a lot of uncles and cousins that were just fans of the entire NFC East. And me being the black sheep, like again, my passion was in soccer. My love for the sport in soccer was from age 6 all the way up until now at 33. So like that's my first love. And then, the Rams, like they were my first football team that I watched an actual game, and they were good in the 90s, late 90s, like
90s.
98,
Yep.
99, right before they get the ship. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is a team I could stick with. And then obviously you stick with them. You see the greatest show on turf, and you see Kurt Warner, you see Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce. Like, how could you be mad at this team? And like, how could you not root for them? They are on fire. So as a kid, that's where my loyalty sat. And like all my cousins and uncles were like, "You're a Cowboys fan, you're Eagles." Like, no, bro, I kind of hate y'all fan bases. So no. So I'm gonna make my own choice. So like I've always been the black sheep of like going my own way, liking what I like and doing what I want to do. And like the Rams, I just stuck with them through those dark times. Like it wasn't good after the greatest show on turf. I had to really question my loyalty when Jeff Fisher came in, and we were a mid-tier team all through those years of just knowing that we have a great set of players. Like we have Todd Gurley, we have Aaron Donald, and we're a top 10 defense behind Greg Williams. And like, what are we doing? We're 8-8. And like, but that just shows like if you're going to be there for the dark times, and now obviously 2021, we get that ring, we get the Super Bowl, and I can be outside comfortable, loving my team, rooting as loud as I can, no matter what.
I like it. I like it. I definitely have some familiarity with that experience through the dark times, being a Jets fan.
I
Um,
think you guys are still in the dark times. I was going to leave that out. I'm sorry.
I think there's a night light. There's a night light. There's a
Yeah.
little bit of a light with Aaron Glenn, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we kind of paint this type of delusional optimism that we have every year. We're like, oh well, the defense, kind of how you had like when you said, oh, we have Aaron Donald, top 10 defense, but we're 8-8. It's like the defense was like the only hope, and then you're hoping, come on, let's get like 2 touchdowns, let's get like at least 20
Yeah.
points, like. And I remember those days with Mark Bolger, and then eventually the light was shining with Jared Goff, and then they let go of Fisher. Then McVay came. The rest was history.
Yeah.
It's almost like a whole culture shock, culture
Yeah.
shift, and
You said Mark Bolger. I mean, Sam Bradford, Austin Davis, Sean Hill. I mean, Sean Manning. I mean, Jesus.
oh
Nick
man,
Foles had a run there. Like it was bad, bro. We were bad. Like I don't think folks understand like winning 4 games and still having that hope going into next year. Like that's a sickness. But it's like it's the loyalty and love and passion you have for your team, and I'm going to stand 10 toes down for them. They can win 4 games for the next 10 years. I'm still going to be outside barking and chirping like, "Let's go, LA Rams!" Like it is what it is, man.
I completely feel you. That's what the outlier, like you said, being the black sheep. It's like, hey, look,
Yeah.
I go to my own beat, and it's like they're like, why are you a Jets fan? Like we live in Virginia. You could be a Washington fan, which they weren't having good times either. So.
No,
Um,
yeah.
And you had Steven Jackson, which was awesome. So like you got to enjoy that offensive explosion. And then I think even after Todd Gurley was
Yeah.
so sick. And then
G.
on
Yeah.
fantasy especially. So
Yep.
that's awesome. I think now definitely you got the ship. My biggest fear before we go, the next question is: I spent a lot of money and time rooting for these Jets, these damn Jets, and I'm worried that I get old and like, what if they don't win, So, but that's the whole point of being a fan. You never know the end
Yeah.
result. That's what keeps you coming back. You always are anticipating and hoping. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about football is that hope, that joy. You don't get a lot of that in different avenues of life. So being a
Mhm.
fan of something passionate like football brings you that. So I'm glad you got to reach that. And hopefully, I can hit you up in like a year or two and say, hey,
Yeah.
Justin Fields led us to a,
Justin
or
Fields.
whoever. I don't
Hey, who knows, man? That tush push might help you all this year to score more points, man. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
I mean, this is the most okay. So we have a leader of men, I think, in Aaron Glenn. And I would like to know your point of view. I think Aaron
Yeah.
Glenn brings a refresh, almost like equivalent to Rex Ryan days when Rex Ryan demanded excellence. And that's the high I have is from the 09-10 seasons.
Yeah.
We went to back-to-back AFC, but Garrett Wilson, top 10 receiver. Brees Hall, I think, is the most underrated running back in the whole NFL. When he is healthy, I tell my
Mm.
friends, I think he's the best running back in the league if he had a lion's share. If he had a lion's share with this new O line, I think he could do crazy Ladainian Tom like crazy numbers. Really, it's just a matter of game script and those things. So we don't have a number two receiver, so Garrett Wilson should go nuclear in fantasy with volume, and then no tight end. Mason Taylor tight ends take 2-3 years to fully develop unless you're an Iowa tight end like Sam Laporta or George Kittle. But what are your thoughts on the Jets? Because I have some fans here that subscribe as Jets fans as well. There's not many
Sure.
of us, but
Well, with Aaron Glenn, man, you're just hoping, like you said, he sets the bar high. And like it's all about making that foundation strong when it comes to the culture. And I think that's already being, shifted and done with. So I think more so it's going to come down to Tanner and Strand and how much of an influence Ben Johnson, his time in Detroit playing under him and being under him, and see how this Jets offense looks. And like, I'm really curious to see how that backfield pans out because you're right. Brees Hall right now is going in fantasy drafts and best ball like very undervalued. He could easily be in that top 5 conversation when it comes to fantasy running backs. He's a guy that's explosive at times when healthy. He's a guy that's involved in PPR leagues. He's getting in the pass catching targets as well. So I do feel like, there's upside with Brees Hall, but it's Braylon Allen. He's pretty damn good as too. So you got a nice 1-2 punch. And that's why I was asking about Tanner Strand's influence from Ben Johnson on this 1-2 punch. It could be something special with him and Braylon Allen as a 1-2 punch, as a Sonic and Knuckles. It'll be a different version, honestly, from the Sonic and Knuckles. Brees Hall ain't Gibbs. Let's just put that out there. Like, he ain't as explosive as Gibbs, but we could still get a split share of that backfield where they work off of each other and they both show efficiency and they both show fantasy relevance. So I'm just excited to see Justin Fields, get the QB1, not really have to worry about somebody behind his back taking his job. They committed 2 years with him. So it's like he has 2 years to put the league on notice, make people believe in his play, make people believe that this offense can be high scoring as if, they have the tools. Garrett Wilson, he's a very, very underrated wide receiver. Like, I understand folks can't put him in that tier where we talk about the Malik Neighbors, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, but he's right there. Like, he's right on the outside of that conversation. So hopefully this year, being that they have the previous conversation, the previous chemistry with Justin Fields in college and Garrett Wilson, they were throwing the ball, playing a little pitch and catch, a little backyard, football where they looked electric. So hopefully that transition now that we're in 2025.
I like it. I like it. So you heard that optimism from more of like a duo backfield, almost similar
Mhm.
to like Aaron Glenn is from that Sean Payton tree. That Sean Payton tree has been trickling into a lot of NFL teams. And this kind of reminds me when you said Sonic and Knuckles of like the Mark Ingram and Kamara. So we're not
Yeah.
saying Brees Hall is Gibbs because there's not many Gibbs that I've ever seen in my lifetime watching. Really, I can only think of like maybe three. Like Jamal Charles and Gibbs, they're kind of
Yeah.
similar. Chris Johnson in a way, but even Gibbs is more compact. It's like a combination of both of them. So having Mark Ingram and Braylon Allen, I think, yeah, he's young, he's powerful. And then even Davis, Isaiah Davis, I think is his first name, the third running back
Yeah.
we have,
Yep.
and getting Donovan Edwards from Michigan. So they
Donovan
have
Edwards. Yeah.
he's a dog. So, and in Michigan, all they know is how to run. They run, run, run. So, which Blake Corum, your boy, I got him in all dynasty leagues. I'm still playing the seed for Blake Corum. He was a
Uh,
superstar, but McVay loves his number one running backs. Like I wish, yeah, I wish I loved something as much as McVay loves his RB ones. He
I
always feeds
I
them.
I do think it's situational that he loves his RB1s because he could depend on them when things are going bad. And that was last year with Cooper Cup, Puka Nakua, the injuries. Even the year before that,
Mm,
when Kyron was getting the hold, he kind of just separated himself from Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, and Malcolm Brown. And, he had that previous room out there kind of just sharing the backfield. I do think this year, there may be some versatility to that backfield. There may be some Jarquez Hunter sprinkled here and there because Hunter possesses two major key factors here that Kyron does not have: ball security and explosiveness. And we were
mhm.
bottom in the league when it came to explosiveness. And Kyron, these last 2 seasons, leads all running backs in fumbles. So that is a huge issue that I think needs to get addressed this year because, again, we're going for the Super Bowl. We're trying to get this ring again. And I think this is the window now with Devontae Adams. And I say
Mhm.
Kyron, he's still a valuable fantasy option. He's going to get his first licks, but just think really, if you add Devontae Adams being a huge piece to that red zone, helping us in an area that we were bottom of the table with, those touchdown touches, those touchdowns opportunities, the regression there is going to hit in that touchdown department where he's not going to perform as a RB1 in fantasy. You know what I mean? He's going to be a strong RB2 if you add in that backfield getting split up as well.
I like that. Yeah, I view Kyron Williams as more of a substitute in a perfect scheme from a perfectionist coach. So I think like Sean McVay, to be at the highest of high levels and succeed, you have to have some type of, like you said, something you got to be different. So you got to have perfectionism in your blood. So if he has little room for error. So
Yeah.
and I think not Sean McVay, sorry, the running back, Kyron Williams. I
Mhm.
think he's not like a generation like a Todd Gurley. Like for example, you're not drafting him because oh my god, I can't wait to have Kyron Williams on my team. It's like no, I'm drafting him because of the scheme, and especially if you're adding another running back, you're like okay, maybe I'll pass on him for a top receiver, like a wide receiver one on
Yeah.
another team or wide receiver two. So the Rams, you said going for that ring, and I view them personally. No hate, no offense, please, but I view them as more of a dark horse later in the year, and that's kind of what's been happening.
Yeah.
Stafford's gritty. He's old. He gets banged up, and at the end of the year, he kind of just has that like OG, that boomer in him, and he kind of makes a
Yeah.
run. So then that's kind of like a dark horse in my eyes late in the year. Who do you think will be the dark horse this year, either AFC or NFC? I'm not talking about the Rams, but I'm talking about something more of like Washington, where they kind of came on the scene, more of like the Bengals when they went to that Super Bowl run out of nowhere with Jamar Chase and Burrow. Who was that team for you, and how would that impact fantasy?
It's the Falcons for me in NFC. You got to
Yep.
invest in that Falcons offense. Bijan's my 101 off the board. I don't care if
Mhm.
you go Jamar Chase, but Bijan's up there. Drake London, he's in for a top 5 performance. We saw last year with Michael Penix, and Michael Penix has top 12 potential in fantasy as well. So I want all these pieces. Darnell Mooney in best ball leagues is like a clutch wide receiver 3 for you or a flex. And I definitely think, there is some value in Kyle Pitts going as tight end 14. There is a chance that he could finally get it together in his last and final chance of a year to be with the Falcons. There's chances there, but I think the Falcons are definitely a team that are going to be in conversation at South that you're going to be very fearful for. With Zach Robinson as the offensive coordinator, he falls very, very close, not that far from the Sean McVay tree as well, to where we know that the Falcons want to go vertical, they want to be explosive, and they have all the pieces there to do so. So they're gonna have a lot to say in the South.
I couldn't agree more. Bijan 101 as well. I like Chase. I would even still take Gibbs maybe because the chance if Montgomery's healthy the whole year, Gibbs should still be a top five, top 10 pick. But if he's gone, he will go Todd Gurley numbers in the league, if not better. And but their
Yeah.
all line has some question marks, so that's kind of up in the air. But they should have the lead. Either way, yeah, Michael Penix, if you replicate what Kirk Cousins was doing, throwing 400 yards on a Thursday night against the Bucks, imagine what Michael Penix, one of the best college aerial attacks in Washington ever.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. You got to get Michael Penix. You got to get. I would trade Michael Penix even in Dynasty. I'm like, hey, if you could give up like a starting caliber quarterback that's been playing for years and buy the dip on Penix, and even like a JJ McCarthy, like these young guys, you got to take a chance, you got to take a risk. And Michael Penix is in a great opportunity. The defense has been improved and it's steadily improving. I couldn't agree more. I'm trying to think on my end. There's another NFC team in that same division. I don't think they're going to go dark horse like a run deep, but I think
Mm.
people are sleeping on them in fantasy, and that's the Carolina Panthers. I think they
Wow.
showed progress, and that's what I try to do every year is like, hey, look, who is nobody talking about? Where are these outliers? And Bryce Young, man, the second half of the year looked like the number one pick. Everyone forgot about CJ Stroud, man. CJ Stroud was struggling.
Yeah,
So, so if you took a magnifying glass and like if you asked someone who just watched football last year, they would think CJ Stroud's not good and Bryce Young is. And that's
yeah,
literally what was happening. And he didn't have a number one receiver. Technical McMillan, he's going to get fed. I think he's the most underrated rookie out of all of them. And that whole NFC South, man, is underrated as a whole. The Bucks are going to steady improve
yeah.
in Buka. So watch out for the NFC South is kind of what I'm thinking.
South is going to be crazy, man. It's definitely some guys in there that you can grab from each team. Like I definitely think, I want to jump on the Bryce Young train, but I definitely need to see it on a full season scale. But I did like last year what I saw on the back end. Like he played more quicker, more decisive, making better decisions, running out of the pocket more, and like just playing faster pace. And again, Adam Thielen was a top 15 fantasy wide receiver once he came back from injury. So him bouncing back off the bench, that's good foundation to build on. And I definitely think adding Tetero McMillan, it doesn't really, shake the room for me, just being that again, there still needs to be some understanding of this target share. It needs to be some understanding of this O line. Are they going to stay as solid as they were last season? Because there were some games where Bryce was running for his life. So there's still some improvement to be made. That's why I'm not ready to invest yet on Bryce Young in fantasy, just because I need to see it on the full season scale.
So my theory is I like to invest on potential volume at the low cost because I don't know what the cost of these Carolina Panthers players are, but I don't think it's much. And that's why I like
Yeah.
buying into teams like that. Like when you buy into Baker Mayfield when he first joined the Buccaneers, you and like when you buy into Jared Goff when he first got ascended in Detroit. These are the kind
Right.
of lens, the contrarian point of view where you can get max ROI on your picks because you could still draft Gibbs, Bijan, do all your first and second rounders. But then if you
Mm-hmm.
hit on a Ted McMillan in the mid round, or if you hit on a Bryce Young, then boom, your team can go nuclear. So I don't want to hold you up too long, but I do need to know this. And I know you brought up Drake London. I see you tweeting. By the way, go follow him on Twitter, Real Deal Fantasy. He's super active. You'll probably see a few Drake London gifts or stats, and I don't
For
blame you.
sure.
But I've noticed in the off season in the fantasy industry, there's always crowd hurting around certain players, and I see Drake London, and I see Downs on the Colts, and I see even Garrett Wilson's getting some more love now. But who is someone that we haven't seen, that we haven't discussed, kind of a contrarian that's going to go from good to elite that you're going to not want to miss on your fantasy team?
Going from good to elite. Um, Trying to think who was good last year from running backs because I feel like there's a lot of running backs out there that are good, but they just didn't hit that elite level. And it's honestly because of health, and I think Kenneth Walker has like top five potential. And like if he stayed healthy last season, he was on pace for 75 targets. And this is a guy that mans that backfield as the RB1. And Zach Charbonnet does not play when Kenneth Walker's on the field. He played less than 40% of the snaps when Kenneth Walker is out there playing. So you're telling me that I can get a guy that's going around where Alvin Kamara's going, Joe Mixon. Let me take my choice because three of those backs, they've proven to be top five talent. I think it's Ken Walker's year to finally put the doubters to bed, including me, because I'm just advising cautionary, like, hey, he's not a bad RB2 to slap with your RB1. If you go Achan, if you go Derrick Henry, Ashton Genty, Saquon, Gibbs, whoever you go in those earlier rounds, Kenneth Walker has top five potential. Like he's a dark horse in that category. If you give us 17 games with Kenneth Walker, he is a guy that you will definitely be thanking yourself taking that risk because scared money don't make money. You got to make gambles. You got to take the value that you're getting on a guy that possesses that top five talent.
I like it. I like it. And this is the whole point of having healthy debate and conversation. This is how we first originally met. As
Yeah.
a Charbonnet holder in every dynasty league, I agree with the talent and everything. Yeah, Kenneth Walker, this rookie year, he had those long breakaway runs that would ruin your
Mhm.
weeks. When you're going against him, you're like, man, he got like 30 points. And
Yeah.
I like drafting those guys, but my number one rule since I started playing fantasy when I was a kid, I was like, I am not going to draft anybody that gets injuries, has multiple injuries, because football is a game of longevity. And yes,
Yeah.
there's more technology now where you can recover quicker, But that risk of high capital drafting somebody and they're not being able to start in your lineup against somebody in the playoffs or late in the year, to me is not worth it. Where
Yeah.
this to me is more of like a Tony Pollard and Zeke Cowboys thing when Zeke was really good, but then he got older. But instead of older, Kenneth Walker's getting more injury prone.
Yeah.
I think Charbonnet is better than him because he plays more and he can catch, he can run. When Charbonnet plays, when there's no Walker, every week I set it and I forget it. I'm hoping for 10, I
Yeah.
get 20. And I'm like, yo, I love having Charbonnet. Charbonnet doesn't even look like when you see photos of them, right? Charbonnet does not look like a traditional running back. You know what I mean? He looks like he's like, was a good guy. He like donates to charity. He just looks like a nice guy. But that guy's a dog, man. I like Charbonnet and but I like with your potential with Kenneth Walker as well. So I know you got to go in like 5 minutes. Can I ask you got one more question in you?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's go. Shoot it.
I so so okay. There's a couple questions here I could ask you, but I personally am just adding one to the show sheet that we had. So quarterback to me is the toughest every year. It used to be easy because the Konami code, when you have a mobile quarterback, like you get Lamar and then you got Hurts and then you got Mahomes. Then something happened. I don't know what happened. I think overnight, all the fantasy chatters have like a chat and they're like, hey, like we're gonna just randomly pick a bunch of random quarterbacks. Because then Josh Allen ran. Now it's random. Now I have no idea what to do at quarterback every year besides reaching early on like Lamar. So, what do you recommend for quarterback? Who's the quarterback you're taking the most that you can't leave your draft without?
Right now, I'm waiting for Dak. Dak has proven to us just 2 seasons ago he could be a top 3 fantasy quarterback. And when we look at that Cowboys offense compared to when he did that versus now, there's a lot of things where you're like, oh, wow, this could be back to that because they didn't have a wide receiver, too, for when he did this. He didn't have a running game that was at its peak when he went top 3. He had CeeDee Lamb, and that was about it. And Jake Ferguson, of course, was there helping. But I definitely think now, the pieces that they have, Dak is being overlooked. He's going as a QB 13, where you have guys like Patrick Mahomes that's proven to us these last couple of seasons he's not that QB1 anymore. He'll have that traditional spike week where it's like, hey, he just beat up on the freaking Jacksonville Jaguars, like, or hey, he just beat up, on the Raiders. Like, great, cool, but it's like, where are the 300-yard games at? Why is his, QB6 for Patrick Mahomes is nuts. Baker Mayfield, QB7 right now, which is nuts because, again, Baker's had more offensive coordinators than I had girlfriends in my life. It's insane. It's how many offensive coordinators he's going to go through. But at the end of the day, you sit here and you look at Bo Nix, who's QB10 right now. You sit here and look at Dak, guys who have proven it to us in our face and had the same situation, if not better. These are the guys you could wait in the draft for because in the draft board and your league mates and your homies, they're going to be talking about all the big names. Patrick Mahomes going to be up there. They're going to be talking about Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, all the big names, but they're going at a high price in rounds that I feel uncomfortable for. So QBs, you can always wait patiently because, again, even if I don't like Kyler Murray, he still brings that mobile upside. He still brings that upside that he can crack at least top 7, top 8. You know what I mean? And like he's a guy that's going later than some of the names that I just named. So I feel like you have to be patient and understand the situation that the quarterback's in, or you take the shot, how you say in the great ROI, Caleb Williams going outside the top 10. Kind of nuts. He has Ben Johnson now. You saw what he could do with Jared Goff. Why draft Jared Goff when you can get Caleb Williams, who's a lot more mobile and a lot more weapons around him that are solid? So just iron out the situations, man. Just wait on quarterback. You don't have to get the premium in Josh Allen and Joe Burrows and Lamar Jackson's. Like, I get these are the top tier guys, but there's guys that can finish in that top 3, like Dak, where you have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson sitting at 1 and 2.
I like it. I think that's spot on. I think Dak, based off his price, I could not agree more, especially with George Pickens being added to the. I think George Pickens is probably one of the best wide receiver twos in the league right now. And then
Yeah.
on top of that, Jake Ferguson's a dog. And then their running backs are still like there's not like Zeke or prime Tony Pollard walking through the door. So I like it. I think that sounds like a great strategy for everyone listening. Draft Dak Prescott late, then reach for like a Caleb Williams later on or somebody with a high ceiling, and that way you diversify instead of getting a Josh Allen. Then later, when you're playing in the championship or the playoffs, you have a star wide receiver 1 and a star running back, and then you also have Dak versus Josh Allen, and then your running back might be missing. But
Yeah.
the only caveat would be if you're in like a four. So like I had a 14-man league with some of my homies, and I did take Josh Allen early because I do think that kind of matters a little bit more. It's like, hey, look, but for your scenario, like 10-man, even 12, wait for Dak.
Oh,
And
we still playing 10 man. I hate those leagues, man. I'm sorry.
well,
It's
every
12 or
team is
nothing.
OP.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't make it fun. And find two more friends.
Yeah, find two more. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, 10 is because everyone's team is good in 10. It's more about
Yeah.
odds and luck and statistics. But
Waiver wire is stacked and it doesn't make sense.
or if you do 10, you have a lot of bench spots or something like that,
Yeah.
or like less bench. You kind of got to diversify it somehow. But all right, so the takeaways. Okay, got to draft Dak late.
Yep.
Kenneth Walker, if healthy, is one of the biggest steals in the draft.
If healthy.
If healthy, yeah, not gonna let if healthy, which I don't like that term. I don't like if healthy, but Cooper Cup proved me wrong. It's just there are people that will prove you wrong, but I'd rather just wish on hope
Jonathan
somebody else.
Taylor. Now, Jonathan Taylor, he has top 5 upside, but these last 3 seasons, man, have been nasty for him on the injury bug. And like availability is your best ability, but you see where his ADP is at. It's very high and very expensive. So instead of going that route, you can get the same guy, similar injury prone situation with Kenneth Walker for much cheaper several rounds later. Just saying.
I like it, yeah, especially because Jonathan Taylor has the brand name and the wow factor, especially his rookie year. But the other thing about Jonathan Taylor is I just don't think he's really that happy in Indianapolis. Mentally, if I'm getting injured over and over and my team isn't doing well, and I'm looking in the huddle, and I look at Daniel Jones and I look at like Anthony Richardson that's banged up, how confident am I going to be every week to strap up and go to work and take beatings from the NFL D linemen? I'm not.
Yeah.
If I'm Jonathan
Yeah.
Taylor, I know I'm a dog, and I'm sure he's humble about it, but
Yeah.
if he would have been on the Chiefs, the Chiefs should have drafted Jonathan Taylor and not Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then that would have been
That's a whole
crazy
other
for fantasy.
conversation. That's a whole other conversation, man. They should have been took JT, but hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Hey, I know you got bounce here, so I'm gonna stop the recording. But before I do, thanks everybody for watching. Go follow at Real Deal Fantasy. Laquan, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, follow all his socials. Go TikTok. I don't know what you got, but look it up.
Yeah,
Um,
everything, man.
Everything. So where else can they find you? Like, do you do weekly shows? Do you do like what's somewhere where like some of these people watching, if they want some more football content, where can they find you?
So twice a week, every week, I'm on the NFL Fantasy Podcast with Marcus Grant and Michael Florio over there at the NFL Network. And then for FTN Fantasy, I do a cool podcast that I just got off of jumping on here with you with Matt Okada. You can catch us once a week as well, doing all their video content over there as well, along with similar other guys out there that are putting out the content for TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, bro. We still out there in the Facebook streets. It don't matter, man. Anywhere you can see social media, man, you're most likely going to see my face, hear my voice, and hey, it's fire content only, man.
Fire content only. I like it. Everyone go follow. Even if you got MySpace, you never know. It still might be
Facts.
on there.
Tumblr. We out here, bro.
All right, man. It's been real. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your day, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for the invite, man. Really appreciate it, man. You're really good at this, man. You're a little nervous, and I don't know why, man. This was like homies just talking ball.
Oh no, man. But yeah, you're like famous, man. You're on NFL,
Nah, I'm
So
not
it's
famous, bro. Stop.
I'm trying to be like you guys. So I'm nervous because it's just a lot of joy. It's a lot of joy to be able to talk about what I love with people that do it. And
Yeah.
like younger me would be
Yeah.
like, younger me would dap me out and be like, yo, you're the man for doing this. Because,
That's awesome, bro.
yeah, no one does
Nervousness
this.
just means that you have passion for it and you care about it. If you ain't nervous, you don't care about it.
If you ain't nervous, you're not growing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you have the same feeling every day, then you're just doing the same thing over and over. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, man. Enjoy your day. And I'll see you on Twitter.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for your time.
See you.